Today is September 21st, 2025, and I want to take you back into history as I normally do. Today marks the 53rd anniversary of President Ferdinand Marcos's declaration of martial law in the Philippines. This is the most famous case of martial law in modern history. For many, this is history in a dusty textbook. For me, it is actually family history, and I'm talking blood, language, and memory. I happen to be an ethnic Ilocano, the same tribe that President Marcos is from. That meant my family could not escape this story. Many of my relatives supported him. In fact, some of them served in his administration during dictatorship. And these people believed in the myth of the strongman. They thought discipline and order would save a fractured nation. But others resisted, even in my own family. They saw the brutality, they saw the theft, they saw the silencing of voices. Some fled the country to save their lives, ending up in Hawaii and California. That family divide is the Philippines divide. And I stand firmly with those who resisted because I cannot stand fascism, as you know from these podcasts. I've spent many years writing about and now talking about colonialism and empire. And martial law was one of empire's most poisonous fruits. It was not born in a vacuum. It grew out of the soil of American colonial rule, Cold War paranoia, and the idea that a strong man could protect the world from chaos. And once planted, it spread fast. The danger is not just what happened then. There's a whole reason why I'm bringing this up today. The danger is what I see now, today, in Chicago, where I am, and across the country, because the shadows of martial law are stretching across America today. Now, President Marcos closed down ABS-CBN, the country's largest broadcast network, on the very night martial law began. And the thing about authoritarianism is one of the first things they like to do is to control the message. And the best way to control the message is to control the people and systems that send out those messages. So he silenced journalists, so only his voice remained. Today in America, we're seeing books being pulled from shelves because they tell uncomfortable truths about race, sexuality, and history. There are now orders to go through the Smithsonian Institution and different federally organized libraries and museums to look at all the exhibits. The idea is the same. Control the narrative and you control the people. Ferdinand Marcos, back then, jailed Senator Ninoy Aquino and hundreds of opposition leaders. Dissent was criminalized. Today in America, we hear chants of lock her up, which was popular back in past elections. But it's now becoming real calls to jail political opponents today. After Charlie Kirk's assassination, people who criticized him were fired, encouraged to be fired from private companies as if dissent itself were treason. That is how authoritarian cultures grow when silence becomes safer than speech. Now, under martial law, activists were tortured, they disappeared, and were murdered. In America, we're not there yet, but the seeds are being watered. Protesters face harsher penalties, demonstrations are being criminalized, and critics of government policy are branded as enemies. And if you think the courts are going to protect all of us from all of this, we're already seeing evidence that they're willing to turn a blind eye. The ground is being prepared to get us from where what happened in the Philippines, and it'll start happening here. And I'm seeing the shadows of that. Marcos even feared laughter. Comedians and cartoonists were silenced because satire exposes the absurdity of power. Today, late-night hosts like Jimmy Kimmel and Stephen Colbert have been suspended or silenced for mocking those in power. Authoritarianism cannot survive the sound of a joke, so it does everything it can to stamp out laughter. And yet, every time I raise these parallels, someone says, you're just using scare tactics, you're overreacting, you're overreaching, that could never happen here. The Constitution won't allow it. America's system is too strong to be trampled on. To those voices, I will say very clearly, you are wrong. you are wrong, because constitutions are only as strong as the people willing to defend them. The Philippine Constitution also guaranteed rights and freedoms. It was based on the American Constitution. It promised free speech, a free press, the rule of law, but when martial law was declared, those promises became paper shields. Marcos rewrote the rules, bent the courts, and stacked the institutions. What use is a constitution if the leaders who interpret it no longer honor it? And America is not immune. America is not immune. Already, we see Supreme Court rulings ignored when inconvenient. Already, we see presidents openly stating they will ban rainbow flags and criminalize flag burning and punish those who dissent, even though past Supreme Court rulings said you cannot do that. The Constitution cannot enforce itself. It is words on parchment. It is not a fortress. It is only as resilient as the people who breathe life into it. Now, President Marcos proved that a constitution left undefended, and that's the key point here, can be trampled into dust. And those who say it can't happen here forget that every nation who fell into dictatorship once thought the same exact thing. Germans once thought the Weimar Constitution was too strong to fail. Filipinos once thought because their democracy was based on U.S. democracy, it was too entrenched to be stolen. Americans now risk repeating their mistake. The banning of books, the jailing of opponents, the silencing of satire, these are not abstractions. They are happening, and they are happening here. To dismiss them as scare tactics is to silence the alarm bell while the fire spreads. My family lived through this. Some cheered it on, some resisted it with their lives, and I carry their story as a warning. Martial law did not descend like a thunderclap. It crept in. It normalized little by little over many years until people woke up one day and realized their freedom had been bargained away. This is not an overreaction. This is recognition. This is memory. And this is resistance. Because if we do not heed the lessons of martial law, America may find itself relearning them the hard way. And rebuilding a democracy once it's broken takes generations of suffering. The question is, do we resist now, or do we wait until the silence is complete? And so here is what we have to do. We have to defend libraries and keep banned books in circulation, because knowledge is always the first target of authoritarianism. We must protect local journalism, because without a free press, there is no democracy. We must march, as Filipinos once marched in the streets of Manila during the People Power Revolution, because collective bodies standing shoulder to shoulder have always shaken the grip of strongmen. And we have to run for office at every level. School boards, city councils, legislatures, because democracy cannot be defended from the sidelines. We have to get in there and make those arguments and face those people who are trying to do all of this to us. We have to vote, not just for presidents, but for every local candidate who can strengthen or weaken our institutions. And that means at the city council. That means at the state legislature. We have to create art, creativity, poems, songs, murals, podcasts, because art can keep memory alive when tyrants try to erase it. Yesterday, I talked about this new song by Sasha Allen, an openly transgender singer-songwriter that I really, really love, called Fire in America, and I want you to look for it. We have to speak, even when silence feels safer, because freedom dies not only by the hand of the dictator, but by the silence of the people. There are people who are telling me from the Philippines, including my own mother, who they're deathly afraid that my podcast, my writing is so incendiary toward the current presidential administration and all his followers. So they fear for my life. And even though a lot of us think that's not going to happen, their fear is real because they lived through something just like this. We must speak out because we still can. This is the lesson of martial law. This is the lesson of the Philippines, and it is the warning for America. The shadow has already fallen on American land. What remains is what we do. What we do. And I tell this story not only as a Filipino whose family lived through dictatorship, but as an American in Chicago, standing here in Edgewater, from my vantage point near Loyola's lakefront, from the sanctuary of Edgewater Presbyterian Church, from a neighborhood built by immigrants who came seeking freedom, I refuse to let history repeat itself. The memory of martial law runs through my blood. The promise of democracy runs through the city I love, and I will not sit silently while the shadows creep in again.